Hello everyone, it is the Prophet Michael David, aka Aries, and today we are going to go over my claim as the Islamic end-time prophet, aka the Mahdi, aka the Al-Mahdi, aka the Imam Mahdi. Okay, first off, the colors. Um, Green is the color of the Mahdi. Black is too, but weirdly in Islamic culture, green is a very prevalent color in a lot of their flags, and especially when it comes to the prophets and the Mahdi, which is weird because I've lived and worked in the Middle East, which I will discuss in this video, but there's not a whole lot of green in the Middle East. It's very weird. The only time there's green is in the Arab Spring, and I am an individual that's been in the Arabian Desert during the Arab Spring, the actual spring, and I've seen the reeds, the long green reeds, and I've looked out on the Arabian Desert, and it's not. There's a lot of them, but it's not green. It's not desert colored. It's really weird, but I am a human being that's seen it. So, um, here we go. All right, just real quick before we do this, I'm not going to be talking about like my name stuff and how it satisfies the Prophet Muhammad's uh, prophecy on it, because I've done that before in my Mahdi video. You guys can go back and watch that. This video is going to be how I'm connected to Islam, or at least the modern Muslims in this world, through my job history. All right, and lastly, before we get, I know this is disjointed, but she wants me to point this out. Allah, that your boy does have his Quran. It's an awesome one. But that all this stuff that he's going to tell you is he has not yet read a word in his Quran. Yes, of course, he knows passages from the Quran, from the internet and everything, but he's going to tell you all this stuff about Islam that he's learned without the Quran. So, lastly, here we go. So, roughly 12 years ago, I took a job working in the Middle East in Kuwait, and it wasn't a military job. I've never been in any of the military services. It was an engineering job, and it had to do with cleaning oil out of sand, and I'll elaborate. So I think it was in 1990, Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, and in 1991, the Americans drove them out, and Saddam Hussein destroyed a whole lot of oil wells and other infrastructure on the way out, creating an environmental crisis. And the United Nations gave Kuwait billions of dollars to develop technologies that would reclaim a reclamation project, reclaim those lands that had been destroyed by Saddam Hussein. But they didn't have the technology for it at the time, and that's what the project was supposed to address. And I think the official project to this day maybe is called the KERP, Kuwait Environmental Reclamation Project. So when I got there, about a dozen years ago, the project was still, 25 years since they had started it, and they still didn't really have any technologies. So I was an engineer that worked for a very small company in America that was a subcontractor of a Korean company that got a subcontract of this much larger project to work. So it was a very small fish in a very big pond. And I was hired to be the engineer that was the boots on the ground, the vanguard, to go there, make the initial connections in the Middle East with the Kuwaitis, our handlers and our bankers, and then find a apartment space that had multiple bedrooms, for people that would visit, and they could also be utilized as an office space. So it was very much it had a lot of different aspects to it, but it sounded exciting, and I had a whole lot of wanderlust, and I always wanted to work in other countries, and so uh, that's why I took that job. And for any watchers that would like to know about hospitality and everything, I was treated very well. Even being an extremely small fish, uh, I was treated very, very well. I have no complaints at all. I found the culture fascinating. For anybody that wants to know where I lived, I don't remember the initial hotel I was staying at. I remember I stayed at a hotel in Hawali for about a week or 2 weeks when I was looking for apartments. But the apartment that I finally landed in was in Mabula, if anybody wants to look it up. So, um, I guess my point is, as far as to be able to communicate with Muslims, especially modern Muslims, am I a white guy from America? Yes. But have I lived and worked in the Middle East? Yes. Have I heard the 5 prayers a day? Yes. Have I seen Muslims praying in their mosques during the prayers? Yes. Have I noticed how the mosques always seem so weird because all the towns are still constructed in grid form, but since all the mosques have to face Mecca, they always seem like weirdly out of place? Yes. Have I been shown great hospitality by the Muslims? Yes. Have I seen true Arab Spring in the Arabian desert? Yes. Have I gone through uh, checkpoints with people carrying AK-47s because it's a demilitarized zone? Yes. Have I seen the sun rise over the Persian Gulf? Yes. Do I regret my time in the Middle East? No, not at all. I had a whole lot of fun. I worked for a very small company and it eventually fell through. Do I have one regret? Yes, I do. My one regret from all the time I spent in Kuwait, which was only about 7 months overall, I can do specifics later, but my one regret was on the Prophet Muhammad's birthday, I was invited to go out fishing, but I don't really like boats that much, nor really fishing that much, and so I didn't go. But I didn't really realize what that day meant in the first place. And for all of you watchers that are not Muslims or have never worked in the Middle East, let's just say that from all over countries in the Middle East, not just Kuwait, on the Prophet Muhammad's birthday, a lot of Muslims, especially young Muslims, like to go out fishing. Yeah, it's a huge thing. They like to go out fishing. And if you do not understand that joke, you are not Muslim, nor have you ever worked in the Middle East. And that is my one regret from my time of working in Kuwait, is I did not go out fishing on the Prophet Muhammad's birthday. Okay, so I promised to elaborate in this video on that screenshot from my last video, the Christianity video, on the birth of Mary from her mother, Hannah, or in Christianity, Saint Anne. But I tried and failed to find the clip I know I read when I first read the story. And so what I'm going to do, and this is from an Islamic point of view because it's a Quran story, I'm going to tell you the story in the badly, most badly translated way it can be translated, and then about Allah, and then I'm going to tell you the best translation, the only translation that can work with what I tell you about Allah. So, here we go. Okay, the worst translation goes like this. So Allah went to Imran and said, Imran, I need you to tell your wife, whatever her name is, that even though she is past childbearing age, that I am going to grant her a son, and her son is going to be one of my greatest prophets. And so Imran went and told his wife, whose name was Hannah, that she would have a son, and that son would be one of Allah's greatest prophets, and she was so happy. And then, unfortunately, Imran died, and but not before they conceived, and Hannah gave birth to a child, and that child was Mary, whom many of you call the Virgin Mary. I call the Prophet Mary, and the story is the reason why. And when Hannah saw that, it was a girl and not the son that Allah had promised Imran, that he told her, she exclaimed to Allah, Allah, why have you forsaken me? You promised me a son because he was to be one of your greatest prophets, but my child is a girl, and everyone knows that girls can't be prophets. And all Allah said was, Allah knows what he has done. So here's the crux of the argument in this video about Allah. So why is that story so bad in so many ways? Because to a true Muslim, Allah is all-powerful, all-wise. It's like my name, which we've discussed before, Mikael, who is as supreme as God. Rhetorical question, Akbar Allah. Allah is supreme. That's 100% on all categories and everything. God has no reason to go through middlemen, or Allah has no reason to go through middlemen or deceive or lie. Allah is the creator. Allah commands and his subjects obey. That's how it goes. And so that story is false in so many ways. So let me tell you the story in the true way, the only way, where Allah is Allah. Firstly, Allah would never go to Imran. Men cannot have babies. Only women can have babies. So Allah would have gone directly to Hannah, and Allah would have said, Hannah, I'm Allah. I'm your creator. And you know how I know your name is Hannah? Because I invented it. You, Hannah, even though you are past childbearing years, I am going to grant you a miracle child. And that child will be one of my greatest prophets. Please notice in that part I said child, because in the original part I said boy, and because Mary was a girl, that would have meant that in the original version Allah would have lied, which again is impossible. So then, unfortunately, Imran dies, and Hannah has her baby Mary, and exclaims to Allah and says some really, really sexist shit that disrespects her newborn daughter, herself, and pretty much every other woman on the planet. And Allah says is, Allah knows what he has done. And so, in conclusions, for anybody that's made it to the end of this video, especially Muslims, I can understand why Jewish people don't proclaim Mary as a prophet, or Jesus, Isa. And I understand why the Christians don't, because of the Virgin Mary thing. But for the life of me, especially after that argument, how could you not call her the Prophet Mary? All right, signing off. As always, rule number one, do not touch each other without another person's consent, aka do not hurt each other. And rule number 2, it's all about honesty. Lies are a tick down. And also, blessings beyond the Prophet Muhammad and his family and the rest of you.